Anyways, yeah. So we should be hot by now, because when you're hot, you're hot, and when you're not, you're not. Right? And I have an itch that I cannot reach. So we have to get the trusty dusty back scratcher and get to it. Yeah, there it is.
There we go. Yeah.
Why is everyone talking about March the 1st? I don't know. You tell me. There ain't nothing happening today. Not that I'm aware of, other than the fact that we start a new month. Of course, I'll call the courthouse and make sure, but as far as I know, there's nothing happening today. Not that I'm aware of. And if by some chance something does happen, well, then that's just more ammo that I have when I go to court, right? Just the start of a new month, guys. That's all it is. That's all it is. Okay, this person says, as veterans, we defend people's rights to say whatever they want, but if you say something Putin doesn't like, he will poison you. That's a dictatorship. Yes and no. I don't believe that we should defend people who purposely wish to undermine the Constitution of the United States and by extension America. I don't believe we should have to do that. I don't believe we're necessarily prepositioned to do that. Um, because I get this all the time. Oh, well, I'm going to defend your right to say whatever you want. Now, wait a minute. If what you're saying undermines the Constitution of the United States, a document that I swore to protect, well, then no, I'm not going to defend what you say. Sorry. Oh, well, we got to embrace communists and we've got to embrace fascists and we've got to embrace Islam, even though these three things are diametrically opposed to every facet of our Constitution. We're going to have to embrace these people because they have a right to say what they want to say. No. No, they do not. What is freedom of speech in the Constitution, folks? Does that mean you can get behind a podium and say whatever the fuck you want? Does that mean you can get behind a podium and undermine the Constitution of the United States, undermine this great country, undermine the founding fathers, even undermine the sitting government, whatever it may be? No, it does not. What freedom of speech, as defined by the Constitution, is your ability to speak out against the government without being jailed or killed. That's it. That's it. That's freedom of speech. That's the only legitimate freedom of speech. Is your ability to speak out against the government without being jailed or being killed. That's it. It has nothing to do with Von Helton is a racist or Von Helton did this or Von Helton did that. That is not free speech. Sorry, it's not. Free speech, as defined by the Constitution, is your ability to speak out against the government without being jailed or killed. That's it. It has nothing to do with Von Helton did this or said that. It has nothing to do with anybody said this or said that, or that person over there said this, or this person over there did that. No, that's not free speech. No, it is not. People get on the Supreme Court for saying that hate speech is a thing. Well, I'm sorry, but hate speech is a thing. You can't yell fire in a crowded room. Okay, for example. So yeah, hate speech is a thing. If you yell fire in a crowded room, people will become trampled to death, and you will be indirectly responsible for the deaths of those people. So no, you cannot yell fire in a crowded room, and therefore hate speech does exist. It is a real thing. I cannot get behind a podium and wish death on anyone. I can't do that. That is not free speech. That is hate speech. I cannot get on the internet and say that Von Helton is a pedophile. Not without proof. Why? Because that is hate speech. And not only is it hate speech, it's also slander, libel, and defamation. And it rises to the level of criminal defamation when people's lives are in danger. Right? You follow me? So, no, I'm sorry, but hate speech is a thing, and free speech is not what you think it is. Free speech is not the internet. Sorry, it's not. I know, believe me, nothing pisses me off more than getting banned from YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. The problem is, though, is that they're right. There is no expectation of freedom of speech because freedom of speech, as defined by the Constitution, is simply the ability to speak out against the government without being jailed or killed. That is free speech. That's all it is. It is not about getting on the internet, calling people this, that, and the other thing. These trolls on YouTube, they love to run around saying, we got free speech. We can call Von Hilton whatever we want to. No, actually, you can't, because that's not free speech. It's not even fair use, let alone free speech. Because free speech, as defined by the Constitution, is your ability to speak out against the government without being jailed or killed. Am I the government? No, I am not. Likewise, I can't get on here and say Brett Keane sucks my dick. I can't do that. Why? Because that's not free speech. That's hate speech. And it might be even terroristic threatening if it rises to the level of putting someone's life in danger. Say, like maybe 3 innocent little children who haven't been able to come home for the last 2 years. Would it rise to the level of criminal defamation at that point? Yes. As a matter of fact, it does. Isn't that interesting? Why? Because innocent lives are in danger as a result. So it's no longer defamation. It's now criminal defamation, which means it went from a misdemeanor to a felony. Imagine that. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? But yeah, there is no expectation of freedom of speech anywhere on the internet. And there never has been. Because that's not what freedom of speech is. Not your right to get on the internet and talk shit about Von Helden or G-Man or Brett Keane or John Gishila or anybody else for that matter. That is not free speech. And like I said, it's slander, libel, and defamation. Now, YouTube has supported these internet trolls, and so has Google. But I got a funny feeling those things are going to change. Call it a hunch. But I got a funny feeling those things are going to change. In any event, but yeah, there is no expectation of freedom of speech in that regard. The only expectation of freedom of speech you have is that you will not be jailed or killed for speaking out against the government. That's it. That's it. As defined by the Constitution. Anything else is not free speech, it's hate speech. Bon, you can't be serious. Well, I'm sorry, but I am. As someone who is a truther, and as someone who is a constitutionalist, and as someone who is a historian, I can assure you that that is free speech. Free speech is your ability to speak out against the government, not against other people, not against institutions, not against anything. You can only speak out against the government. Do I look like the government to you? No. Although I have run for political office, I'm not the government. So anything you say about me can and will be used against you in a court of law. Remember those lines that the police give? Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Why do they say that? Because there is no expectation of freedom of speech, you morons. Not when it comes to individuals or even corporations. Your only right to speak out is against the government. That's it. So every one of these motherfuckers that get on the internet and say Von Helden is a pedophile, Von Helden beat his wife, Von Helden raped his kids, Von Helden killed his mom, Von Helden did... What is that? That's hate speech. And it might even rise to the level of terroristic threatening. But for sure, it's hate speech. It is not free speech. It never has been. As defined by the Constitution of the United States, it has never been free speech. The only freedom of speech guaranteed to you by the Constitution is your right to speak out against the government without being jailed or killed. That's it. Everything else is either slander, libel, defamation, or hate speech. That's it. Sorry. What do you want me to say? I mean, seriously, what do you want me to say? You want me to get on here and tell you a convenient lie? I'm sorry, I can't do that. Sorry, I can't do that. I have to tell the truth. And that is the truth. So for years, all these people getting on the internet calling Von Helton this and Von Helton that. Slander, libel, defamation. And like I said, when innocent little children are involved, it rises to the level of criminal defamation, which is no longer a misdemeanor. It is now a felony. Get it straight, trolls, haters, and naysayers, because there might be a quiz later. There might be a quiz later. Call it a hunch, but there might be a quiz later. Provided any of you are left alive, of course, because apparently the gods are wiping you motherfuckers out faster than I can arraign you. Which is kind of disconcerting, actually, because I really need the money. Anyway, the point is that you're being dealt with either by the gods or by me, but you will be dealt with, I assure you. I assure you, you will be. But yeah, I mean, for those of you that are clueless, you have no expectation of freedom of speech anywhere about anything other than your ability to speak out against the government. You can say whatever you want about the government, and it's legal, and it's free speech. I am not the government. John Gashila is not the government. Brett Keane is not the government. G-Man is not the government. Veckel is not the government. So when you speak out against those people, you are not exercising freedom of speech. No, you're fucking not. I don't give a damn what YouTube says. I don't give a damn what Google says. I don't give a damn what anyone says. The Constitution says that the only expectation of freedom of speech is your ability to speak out against the government. That's it. Everything else is slander, libel, defamation, or hate speech. Sorry. Sorry about your luck. And you could twist this all you want in your brain, and it ain't going to change a damn thing, because the law is the law. Sorry. I don't know how it all got twisted in the first damn place, but it did somehow. But I don't know how it did, but it did. So anyway, that's my little class for today. Is what is free speech? Well, now you know. Free speech is not getting on the internet calling Von Helton a pedophile. No, it's not. That's slander, libel, and defamation, and you can not only be put in front of a judge, but you might even see some jail time over it, depending upon the severity. It is not free speech. Yelling fire in a crowded room is not free speech. It is hate speech. Why? Because it puts lives in danger, number one. That's the most glaringly obvious part of it. But I don't know how it got all twisted. You know, I'm reminded of this video that I watched on YouTube. Ironically, speaking of YouTube, I watched this video, and this guy's in London, and he's out in the main square of London, and he's got his bullhorn, and buddy, he's just going at it, man. He's just laying it on, right? Here come the bobbies, woo! Here come the bobbies with their paddy wagon, and they come and they stop him, and they're like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm exercising my freedom of speech." And the bobbies look at him funny. Then they look at each other, and then they look back at him. They say, "You know that's an American thing, right?" And he's like, "What?" And they fucking grab him and throw his ass in the paddy wagon. Oh gosh, the look on his face was just classic. It was great because yeah, they grabbed him and threw him in the paddy wagon. Literally threw him in the paddy wagon. Yeah, freedom of speech is a very unique thing here in the United States. It's a very unique thing here in the United States. America is unique from all other countries on earth because we have what is called a Bill of Rights. You'll be amazed at how many countries do not have a Bill of Rights. Now, obviously, here in these modern days, you know, there's been an expectation of freedom of speech, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's law, does it? But yeah, that guy's in London. He's in the middle of the square, and he's just going at it with his bullhorn. Here come the bobbies. That's America, you idiot. And they throw his ass in the penny paddy wagon. Oh, shit. It's funny as hell, man. That look on his face is classic, boy. Man, oh, man. That was a classic look. Oh, shit. You have the freedom to say anything you want. No. Have you listened to a single goddamn word I just told you? No, you do not have the right to say anything you want. I just told you, you cannot say fire in a crowded room. No, you cannot. No, you cannot. So, no, you can't say anything you want. God, see, this is why things go to shit. Nobody listens to what I say. You hear me, okay? You hear what I'm saying. You hear the words coming out, but it doesn't register up here. It just goes through one ear and right out the other. We can say anything we want. No, you can't. That's been what I've been saying the whole goddamn time. No, you cannot say whatever you want. You cannot get on the internet and call Von Helden a pedophile. That is not free speech. And it sure as hell ain't fair use. I can't get on here and call Brett Keane a rhinoceros. I can't do it. No, I cannot. Brett Keane is not a government. Brett Keane is not a member of the government. So I cannot speak out against Brett Keane in any way, shape, or fashion. Now, obviously, calling him a rhinoceros is kind of a joke. It's not meant to be serious. But you get what I'm saying. I cannot get on here and trash talk people. That's not freedom of speech. Freedom of speech, as defined by the Constitution, is your right to speak out against the government or a member of government without fear of being jailed or killed. That's it. It is not about the internet. It is not about Brett Keane or Von Helton or J-Dubs or well, he calls himself John now. He doesn't like the word J-Dubs. But anyway, Veckel, G-Man, none of these people. You can't do that. 20 goddamn years, these trolls on YouTube have not been allowed freedom of speech because that's not free speech. Attacking people on the internet is not free speech. In fact, it is a crime. It is called harassment, and it is a crime. It is not free speech. There is no expectation of freedom of speech other than your ability to speak out against the government or a member of government. That's it. Okay? Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. You cannot say anything you want because it's not freedom of speech. Okay? The only freedom of speech you have is the ability to speak out against the government or a member of government. That's it. Okay? Period. Is opinion free speech? I don't know. I mean, if you're referring to an inanimate object, like say these keys suck. I hate these keys. That they're too pointy. They're too sharp. They don't work right. That would probably be all right, I'd say, because it's an inanimate object. The keys do not have rights. The keys do not have an expectation of rights. And so, therefore, you can speak out against these keys all you want. Human beings, however, have rights. Okay, your rights end where mine begin. And you cannot use the law to break the law, there's a whole lot of people out there think that you can use the law to break the law. They're in for a big surprise. They're in for a big surprise if they come up against a constitutionalist like myself, because I will go by the letter of the Constitution and I will prove them wrong every single time. Every single time. Not just once or twice, every single time. Okay? But slander, defamation, libel, all that is clearly defined in law. Okay? You can't get on the internet and slander someone. No, you cannot. Just because it might not be enforced at the moment does not mean it's not slander or libel defamation. Okay, it's still it's slander, libel, and defamation. It just hasn't been enforced yet. That's all. That's all. Okay, or harassment or whatever. But yeah, it's not this. There's no, like I said, there is no expectation of freedom of speech anywhere, especially in other countries. Other countries do not have an authentic Bill of Rights like the United States does. That's what makes the United States unique from all other countries, is that we do have a Bill of Rights. Okay.